Tell us about Menu RX, and we'll bring Danny Oyefusi.
All right. Menu RX, folks, is the best if you're looking for some weight loss tips, if you're looking to have more energy, if you're looking to just be in better shape or just have a better sense of what foods make better fuel for your body, you got to go with Menu RX. Dr. Jake May and the team down at the clinic in Louisiana, they are scientists, doctors. They're not some idiot on the internet. Wow, I just saw a video from some guy said I got to eat 14 tacos a day and I'm going to lose weight. These people are steering you wrong. They're not basing anything on science. Menu RX is all about science, all about the data. It's the analytics, if you will. Don't get scared by it in this case because this is for your body. They'll give you a metabolic test. They'll figure out what foods work best for you. So sign up today. And if you do, you get a 1-year membership for the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show absolutely free. That's menu-rx.com. It's a $60 value free. Menu-rx.com. All right, let's bring Daniel, how you doing? Good to see you.
I'm doing great.
You walked into a buzzsaw here.
Yeah,
We're going
right.
We're going a little nuts right now, especially Tyvis. He's just wild at the moment.
Your thoughts on
What
players
I
with
do?
ugly girlfriends?
His thoughts on what?
What you think about players with ugly girlfriends?
What do you think about players with ugly
I was
girlfriends?
wondering. I was like, did you just get out of bed?
No, see what happened
Yeah.
was, let me show you.
He had
So
surgery
what happened
there.
was I got a hair transplant.
Okay.
So like they redid my hairline.
Did you go to Turkey?
And I went to Columbus.
Okay.
Got sponsored, so
That's
Yeah.
what's up.
free 99. So
Okay.
yeah,
Free hair.
I
appointment.
didn't want it to be a distraction to the show. So
I respect it.
So put it back on.
So you look like you got hit with a shovel.
I
So
put this on so people
how long
can
you got to
focus.
wear that thing?
This bonnet?
Yeah.
I don't. I just wear it for the show.
I mean, how
Yeah.
long are you going to be wrapped in gauze and looking
the
like
wrap
a
comes off
Frankenstein?
tonight. The wrap comes off
All
tonight.
right.
We have a guest in. We're talking about Tyvis.
Yeah, right.
Daniel, how did the quarterbacks look yesterday at OTA?
He's
number
not a
5
guest.
for the
Daniel's
Browns?
family. He's been here enough. He knows how ridiculous we are.
Daniel, what'd you think of the quarterbacks yesterday? In all seriousness.
I really thought it was a really strong day for Shedeur. I know, like, nobody wants to. Like, I even said it last week. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to feed the beast, but, like,
Yeah.
he looked good. So,
Yeah.
and again, I don't want to make too much of, like, one day of practice that we're watching a week and whatnot.
Yeah.
And, Stefanski's out there saying, like, don't worry about the reps and first team. But, like, it was notable to me that we watched practice for an hour, whatever it was yesterday. He was the only guy that didn't get first team reps.
Yeah.
So we've seen 2 OTA practices. We've got this trend that we're seeing now. Like, all right, they have other practices that we don't see. But when we're there, this is what we see. When
Yeah.
it's time for walkthroughs, it's Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco,
Yeah.
Dillon Gabriel, then Shedeur. When they do indies, it's Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, or sometimes they might flip-flop the veterans, but it's usually
Yeah.
Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, Dillon Gabriel, then Shedeur. And then when we start doing like 11 on 11s or any type of work like that, usually it's Kenny Pickett or Joe Flacco, and then Dillon Gabriel goes in with the backups.
Yeah.
And then like the first OTA practice last week, we didn't see Shedeur in there.
Yeah.
What stood out to me yesterday was that Dillon Gabriel got some reps with the first team. He got a good amount of first team reps.
Right.
Reps with the first team offense. There was actually a point where we were on one field watching Dillon Gabriel go with the first team offensive line, throwing to the first team pass catchers and everything, and he's backed by the vets, and on the far field is Shedeur in the JV team. So I'm like, this is interesting. And it's not interesting maybe because it's interesting because partly because it's Shedeur. It's more interesting because they said every quarterback in here is going to get an opportunity to compete. And I know that they say don't worry about the first team reps or anything, but like we know how this goes.
Yeah.
If you're in contention to be a starter, at some point I would expect to see you get some reps with the starters. So I don't know if that's going to change in mandatory minicamp. I don't know if it's going to change in camp. At some point, if Shedeur has if we're made to believe that he has a legitimate shot to be the starter, at some point I would expect to see him running with the ones, even if it's like one little section with the 7-on-7s or the 11-on-11s. So that was the biggest takeaway for me. Shedeur looked really good yesterday, albeit with the second and third stringers, but he was the only quarterback that wasn't getting an opportunity with the starters.
Yeah, it's weird. I think it's weird. I know they're going to.
I don't know. No, it's not weird. It's not weird. It makes perfect sense.
He's the fourth quarterback.
He is the fourth quarterback on the depth chart.
Very clearly fourth on the
Well,
depth
why
chart.
wouldn't you give all 4 the opportunity.
Well, this is why.
Yeah.
This is why.
Yeah.
Because you have two vets who, despite whatever you want to say about Joe
Yeah.
Flacco and Kenny Pickett, they have a little bit of equity in the league. Like Flacco is a proven player.
Yeah.
I mean, he has that trust with
Right.
Stefanski and the coaching staff. You got Kenny Pickett, a former first-round pick,
Yeah.
who, what they're saying, I mean, this is what Andrew Berry has said on record, is that they sought him out as a trade target.
Right.
Like, this was a guy who, entering free agency, they said, we want to trade for this guy. And then you got, again, whatever you want to say about Dillon Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, the team took Dillon Gabriel, and they took Dillon Gabriel 2 rounds before Shedeur Sanders.
Right.
So that obviously showed you that they valued him more.
Right.
They thought he was a better fit.
But I still don't understand why they couldn't do one more set of those drills.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But all I know is what I see.
Yeah.
And I see the vets are getting their chances with the first.
Yeah.
Dillon Gabriel yesterday got his chance with the first. And Shedeur, I'm not saying it's not fair. I expected this, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, why would
Right.
Shedeur get more reps and more opportunities than Dillon Gabriel? He was the second option. So it's going to be interesting when we get into training camp, because I don't know how they're going to operate, but they got 2 set of joint practices with the Carolina Panthers and then the Eagles ahead of their first and second preseason games. I would think that by like the second set of joint practices, like, you're starting to kind of narrow down who you want to be the starter, and then you're really working that guy to get the bulk of the first team reps. So to me, I'm like, well, if Shedeur isn't getting like any looks with the first team by like the second week of camp, when you're starting to transition into that prep for that first set of joint practices in the first preseason game, I don't really see how he has a legitimate chance to be the starter. I don't expect him to be. I never expected him to be the starter week 1, but it's been interesting to see it kind of develop over the first couple of weeks of OTAs.
If they don't give him a legitimate chance, I don't care if he's a 5th-round pick for me. It's not like Dillon Gabriel was a 1st-round pick and he was a 5th-round pick. You're right. Obviously, they value Dillon Gabriel more. They drafted him higher. But why wouldn't you want to give a young guy an opportunity to compete? What is the downside of giving him that opportunity?
I mean, we always say like football is the closest thing to a meritocracy. Well, it's not 100% meritocracy. And again, this as an organization, they saw Dillon Gabriel as being a better fit.
If the Browns took Kyle McCord in the 5th round, would you be as adamant that he should be getting snaps?
Probably not.
Probably
there
not.
you go.
Yeah.
The Shedeur hype does kind of play into all that.
Yeah.
But when you have a team that doesn't have a clear, defined starter, it is kind of interesting. It is kind of interesting to me. But I never expected him to be the starter.
I do think he is going to get opportunities. I mean, and I said the exact same thing you're saying. I said at 11:05, almost verbatim. And I think we've seen 3 hours now over 2 OTAs, and we're trying to draw these huge, broad conclusions.
Which we can't. Which is why I'm saying,
Yeah.
I don't know what happens the days we're not there. Yeah. And even Stefanski said it's an all-encompassing evaluation. So I don't know what we're seeing.
Sure.
Tyvis, you've been in that spot as being low on the depth chart, trying to work your way up. What can you do to earn reps in the film room? You know what I mean? Like, how in the film room can you earn reps? Or what does he have to show on the practice field to earn those?
The only way you can move up on the depth chart is make plays.
That's what I'm saying.
That's the only way. Like, you can sit there when the coach in the meeting rooms, coach is going to ask you questions. You better be able to spit it right back and tell them exactly what it is. All right, then the coach will say, you know what? All right, you know what you're doing. All right, boom. You get out there, you get your, if it's 1s versus 2s or whatever that may be, you get to go up against the 1s. You get your hand on the ball or something like that. You make a pick. Oh, all right. You know what? You earned it. Go ahead and get you a rep with the 1s. Or what really happened is, you can't do this at quarterback, but with the DBs, you'll have a dude like Earl, like, hey, go get them reps for me. Go in. You've been balling today. Go in there and take them 1 reps at the end.
Step in for me.
Yeah.
And it's like, so you go in there and that's your opportunity.
Yeah.
If you blow it, get out. You ain't coming back. Get out.
There's it's hard though. I mean, this time of year at the other, I was gonna ask you like who else has looked good, but like at the other position, like a running back. What's a running back doing now? Like, how can a running back look good? How can a defensive lineman look good right now?
I mean, you see little clips of the running backs, like their vision and whatnot, but it's like you never know for real. And so, like, especially in the trenches too, like you don't know for sure. Like Mason Graham made a play last week; he got his hands on the ball and stuff like that. But you just never sure. I mean, this is really where like the skill position guys should really be standing out.
Yeah. Let me ask you. So everybody talks about Shedeur and how good he's doing. But let me ask you about Dillon Gabriel. Like, what is it about Shedeur that makes him look that much better than Dillon? Like, what are you seeing from Shedeur that you're not seeing from Dillon that you're like, Shedeur looks better than Dillon?
Well, like again, like we're in OTAs, so like it's really tough to judge how they're like adjusting to the rush and everything like that. Like they try to do these modified 7-on-7s, 11-on-11s where they're working kind of against what kind of looks like a pass rush and whatnot. But like it's not. We're not gonna know until it's really live.
Right.
But I would say Shedeur looks more polished. Like again, so yesterday Dillon went with he was running with the ones and he's running against the first team defense. So like Denzel Ward's out there, Martin Emerson, Jordan Hicks, like all those, Grant Delbert, for the most part, those guys are out there. And I mean, they always say like this time of year, like when you're doing like these 7-on-7, like the ball shouldn't be touching it. It was touching the ground a lot.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not saying I would say one thing. Like one thing I look for around this time is like, are you making like bad decisions with? I don't know. I'm not gonna say Dillon was making bad decisions with the ball, but I think it was maybe more so like the speed of it all. Like when you're going against the first team defense, it's a little quicker than when you're going against the second and the third stringers. And then like again, I was actually watching Dillon most of the time because he was on the side of the field that I was on, and it was funny because I'm standing next to somebody, another reporter, and we look and like the ball like touches the ground again for like maybe like the second time in 3 plays, and then I just kind of like glance over, it's kind of like, all right, like what's Shedeur doing over there, and he like lofts a pass over at a guy, and we're like. We're not trying to make too much of it, but I'm like, every time I look up, I'm like,
touchdown.
He's making plays.
There's a lot of pressure on you guys who are covering this team, every day. Not that you have that much access right now, because the fans have picked their camps.
Yeah.
And they want every last bit of information, and we could downplay some of the stuff as much as we want. Fans are not doing that.
I mean, that's understandable. I mean, this is the first 4-way quarterback competition that I've ever covered.
I'd be the first one that anybody's ever covered.
Yeah, I asked Tommy Rees, and he was just like, I think I had one back in like college, but it was like 3.5 because I didn't really consider myself a viable candidate. But yeah, so shows his humility. But yeah, it's understandable. And again, like I know like we're having fun with like the QB tracker and everything, but it's like and I love the people over at ESPN Cleveland, but it's like it doesn't provide all the context. So it's
Not
if there's like a 5-yard check down and then nobody's going to take the receiver's head off because we're not doing that, and then he kind of like just kind of skips into the end zone. Like, are we counting that as a touchdown?
Exactly.
And Shedeur's taking reps in 7-on-7, and you're counting reps
versus 11-on-11
live starters, and the 7-on-7s, the defensive backs aren't even jumping or trying to contest passes. It's why
the stats are silly. They're just I've talked about this.
I just kind of go by the eye test. Like if I see a guy standing out, I'm gonna just say it. Like I'm gonna provide the context. Like, hey, like he had a couple drops. Like, cause I didn't even see the one. Like apparently Shedeur had a interception, and I didn't see that because it was on the far side of the field. Right. And then I saw the video of it, and I was like, oh well, like the receiver got his hands on the ball, and the defensive back made a good play, and it got deflected. But if like I had never seen any of the reports or any video or anything, and I just saw, Shedeur's the only guy that threw an interception. But it's just like we lack the context. So it's tough. It's tough because it's just like you can't live stream the practice.
Sure.
We're trying to shoot video as much as we can, but it's just like it's hard to put a complete picture to it. And we try to do our job as best as we can, but we got some limitations. But you try to add context where it's necessary.
So outside of the quarterback position, when you look at the young guys, is there anybody that's been kind of making noise that you're kind of excited that you've seen this OTA?
I think Fannin and Schlesinger. Schlesinger had a really nice pick in rookie minicamp that was kind of like the epitome of like what they liked about him, like the fact that he is like they say like a 4-down player, like he can play the run, play the pass, go sideline to sideline. He's great in coverage and whatnot. Fannin, obviously like Njoku's not here right now. They really don't have a lot of depth at tight end, so he's getting a lot of targets. So those are two guys that have kind of stood out to me a little bit. And I think that they're gonna Schlesinger's a little more. I mean, I think he has more of like a more kind of a group to kind of come out of. Like, there's more veterans in his position room. But like Fannin, like I don't see any reason why like he doesn't start the year as like tight end 2. And with the way the wide receiver room is looking, I mean, he might be pass catcher number 3.
Yeah,
behind,
4 at the worst.
Yeah, behind Judy and Njoku, and you will see what happens with Tillman.
Yeah. What's going on with Deontay Johnson? Do we have any idea why he's not here? Yeah.
I don't know. Like,
It's weird.
Tell me somebody's sick in his family or he's got a baby.
I don't know. So I mean, I think I seen like something like on Twitter, and he was working out. Like, he's from Florida. He was working out. I don't know if that was like recent or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, you would think so. And I'm gonna preface my comments by saying like, I've always said like I really don't care too much about attendance at voluntary, because everybody's making a big deal about Miles, and I'm like I don't care that Miles isn't here, to be honest, because I know he's
we were accused of making a big deal about it. We did not make a big deal about it, but but anyway,
somebody was lying on y'all.
For Miles Garrett, what was that?
Somebody was lying on y'all. Somebody said you made a big deal about it.
Yeah, no, it's old news. But but for Deontay Johnson's not Miles Garrett.
Yeah, but you would think the rules kind of are different for different players. You would think that he would be there. He signed like a 1-year minimum unguaranteed contract.
Right.
You would think, and it's
playing for his career right now.
And the funny thing about it is that, so obviously like I was kind of monitoring everything that was going on with him last year when he was with Carolina, then he got traded to Baltimore,
and then Houston.
He was having issues. So he was having issues with Baltimore with his lack of targets.
Yeah.
So they released, and he refused to go into the game. So they released him. He went to the Texans, and then he had issues with the lack of targets. So I was like, there is plenty of targets in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Like, that should not be an issue. So to see him not here, I don't know why he's not here. So I don't want to accuse him of it, like whatever. But it is kind of interesting. It is kind of interesting. So I mean, hopefully he's here for mandatory minicamp. And again, there's plenty of targets, so that should not be a problem. Like, if he comes in here, I think obviously, like I've said it, at his best, he's one of the better separators in the NFL. And the Browns love that. They love smooth route runners. So I think it's a perfect fit. So there should not be any problems with targets if he comes here and he handles his business.
No. Well, let me ask you about the running back, because they're going back to Kevin Stefanski, and obviously the run game was pretty much non-existent last year. We know Quinshon Judkins is probably slotted to be the number 1 running back.
1A, 1B.
Something like that. But what about Jerome Ford and Dillon Sampson? Who do you think is that next guy after Quinshon?
I think it's kind of a cop-out, but I think it kind of depends on I think it's situational. Mm-hmm. Like Jerome has like stepped in the past 2 years when Nick has been out.
Yep.
And they've used him in a lot of different ways. Like, they've handed the ball off to him, they've thrown to him. He's been a pretty reliable pass catcher. He's a big play threat, so you can't count him out. Like, the deeper stats or like analytics are like, he's one of the better big play backs in the NFL. He might not be like as consistent on a down-to-down basis, but I think that there's a role for him. Obviously, like, he's factored into the return game too. But I would say like he definitely is more. I would say he's more Sampson than Judkins, where like Judkins was more like between the tackles, downhill, AFC North. Like, they were talking about Judkins is kind of similar to like Nick, where Sampson is like he's a little faster, more the big play threat. So I think role-wise, he might be more Sampson than Judkins. Like, Judkins might be first, second down, and then depending on who they feel comfortable with as a pass catcher, as a pass protector, we'll see. But I don't think there's going to be like there's not going to be like a guy who, there's not going to be a bell cow in this offense, I don't think. I think it's going to be situational. That's my guess.
All right.
That's my guess. I think it's going to be situational from week to week, from game to game. And maybe Judkins is like the first, second down guy, but they've had Jerome in that role as well too.
How many games do you think, as of now, the Browns are going to win this year, if you had to predict?
I think when the schedule came out, I said, and like, I don't know, I've been accused of being like a homer, and like I'm tend to be more like
everybody's accused of being something around here. So
I tend to be more like optimistic than like most people. I think like the being on the beat is kind of wearing on me. We joked about Zach, kind of like he sits behind me, so we talked about him kind of like wearing on me. But I think when I saw the schedule at first, I said 6-11.
Okay, well Tyvus went 8-9, so that's the He's,
I mean, you must think Shedeur is like starting in like week 3 or something like that.
No.
When you got Shedeur taking over.
You got Joe having a big year, right?
I got Joe playing the first 6 games. He's going to fall off a cliff.
Yeah.
And then somebody's going to take over, and they're going to pull some upsets.
If the Browns had Josh Allen and the exact same rest team, how many wins would you pick him for?
They probably win like 10 or 11 games.
That's what everybody else
like
said.
Exactly
No, because
what
my
I
thing
said.
is like also. I mean, like we already know who Josh Allen is, but I think this roster is a lot more talented than people give it credit for. It's not deep, but I think
You're
it's.
the first person to say, because see, last year when we said that,
I said that last year. I probably said that last year too.
See, and everybody said it last year, and it turned out to be the exact opposite.
I still thought the same thing. I just thought they had terrible quarterback play,
They
and
had
I don't think
terrible-
people
and
realize
that
how.
overwhelms everything
They,
else.
Yeah.
not only do they have terrible quarterback play, they were trying to run a scheme that didn't fit the personnel.
That's
And
true.
they had a play caller who didn't know how to call a run play. They had an offensive line coach that basically got fired after week 3.
Yeah.
And Mike Vrabel became the offensive
More or
line
That
less.
coach.
still trips me
Yeah,
out.
and they had no running backs last year when Nick
So
got
there's
hurt.
a
And, yeah,
thousand
That's
reasons
just-
why
listen,
last
they're
year
still
went off
pretty
the cliff.
weak at the moment at wide receiver.
They're very
right?
weak at wide receiver.
But besides that, I don't think they're terribly, obviously quarterback. But besides quarterback and wide receiver, I think they're at least adequate.
I mean, I would
everywhere
say
Who's the third wide receiver right now?
who's the second wide receiver?
I'm saying when
I
they go
assume
out there,
Tillman, but yeah,
when
I
the
just can't say that
ones
for
go
sure.
out there, is it Tillman, Judy, and
It's been like, I'm not gonna lie. It was some guys running with the ones yesterday that I had to
did?
take the. I was like,
Oh, there's somebody
Yeah.
with the ones you didn't even know who the hell he was?
Oh, there was
Tillman's not practicing right now.
yeah, right.
yeah. Tillman, so yesterday
There's
they
a-
had,
there's
there's a lot of guys out there that
it's a lot of 30s
yeah.
running with the
Yeah.
lineup of wide.
I
like,
bet you there's some guy.
30?
like 31. Yeah,
I've
like, it
made
was-
the mistake both days of not taking a roster with me out on
yeah.
the field, and I have to. Well, who's that? Well,
Yeah.
who's I mean, there's a lot of guys out
I
there.
mean,
So
what-
yesterday-
we'll play some Flacco.
You gotta
video
be
real
kidding
quick,
me.
Just for anyone.
Yeah.
Look at the numbers of the receivers. he's
Okay,
going
numbers
to.
of the
Just-
receivers.
you gotta
Some
be.
of these you'll
all
see
right.
better than others.
You
Yeah,
gotta
we see
be
nothing
kidding
there.
me right now.
And that's why I'm saying we're trying to draw these massive conclusions on
Yeah.
these quarterbacks when they're throwing to dudes who are going to be in the CFL.
Who's this
Okay,
dude?
no, this the one right. This one right. So there was. I told you
31.
31. I told you. 31.
That guy looks
I mean, that
like
was
a
a good
fullback.
catch. That was a good catch though. Like
Yeah.
shout out to him.
Yeah.
That guy looks like a fullback.
what is going?
Zach
white
Jackson
dude.
named him his camper of the day.
What are we doing?
Who the hell is he?
what,
Okay, I
Ronald
mean, that's a
McDonald.
number. That's a
Is
number.
he the random white dude that everybody's
No,
getting
that's
excited
the
about this
local
year?
guy. I think that's the local guy.
No, 37's the local guy.
Oh, my
from
bad, my
Canada.
bad.
Oh yeah, what's his name again?
What are we doing?
I forget.
What's going on? We can't
89, little white guy.
we can't get
That's Jones, whoever Jones.
The
is.
Browns gotta have like 16 wide
Jones
receivers on
is
his roster right now.
Yeah.
There's Ken.
There's
He's 37.
That's
There we
Ken.
go.
That's Ken
37.
guy.
I had to look at the roster.
Dude, that was 3 straight
But
white
that's-
guys that did not look like wide receivers.
But that's what we're
They looked
trying
like
to tell you guys.
2 fullbacks and a
Because
tight end.
yesterday they
So
didn't
how
have-
am I supposed to take any of this?
That's what
seriously? What is going
That's
on?
what we've been saying.
And all of this is irrelevant then.
All right, Daniel, let's get you out of here on this. If there was a battle royale amongst the Browns beat reporters, how would you fare?
Like, do we have like any weapons or just like?
No, like let's say
Straight
let's say
hands?
like WWE style.
Oh yeah.
Summer like Royal Rumble. You got to toss him over the rope. How you winning that thing? I mean, Zach Jackson's a pretty big dude.
Yeah, I mean, I think I can hold my own for a little bit. Zach,
Yeah.
he might have me. Scott probably gonna have me.
Scott's big, but
Scott's big.
Scott's
Yeah,
big,
it's true.
man.
He's underrated
Yeah, like I
big,
ain't gonna
Scott.
hold you. Like Scott might have me.
Who's going to throw Mary Kay out? I mean,
Yeah,
come on. How can you pick her up?
Mary
and throw her
Kay
out?
could be
What
the
are you
sneaky winner.
talking
'cause if-
about?
How could you pick up a
I
woman and throw
watched
her out
Bubba
of the
Ray
ring?
And
Dudley
she weighs like 50
take
pounds.
suplex Mae Young off the top rope in the table. What are you talking about?
I ain't
Let me
doing
tell you
that to
something.
Mary Kay.
Boo! And
Mary
then do the
Kay's
stare to
sneaky.
the camera.
Mary Kay's taking off one of those high heels and she's smacking somebody, man. I'm telling you. And Daryl Ryder's first one out. Daryl's getting, my guy Daryl, poor Daryl, he's getting out. Everybody's got to team up on Grossy, toss him out of there.
Do I get to participate in this? I'm not a beat writer.
No, you
I
don't
can't get in?
No,
I can make
you
some
have a good
noise.
chance.
Think
I'd have
you
really
think you make it?
Hell yeah, I can make it. I'm scrappy.
What about
But you small.
Nate?
Scrappy.
What's his name? Nate. He doesn't do.
Low
He's not
center
a beat
gravity.
reporter anymore, right?
No,
Nate,
Nate's not a beat reporter.
I forgot his last name.
Ulrich.
Ulrich?
You know who I forgot about? I'll tell you who could be a sleeper here. Jeff Shedeur. Jeff Shedeur.
Jeff Beaton.
Jeff's got a lot of anger in him. I remember when I was at Browns camp with, when we were doing the radio station, he'd always be on the phone yelling at his wife or something. I don't know what the hell was going on. Jeff was always angry about
Before
something.
you
His
get
anger in
Daniel
there.
in trouble, that is Daniel Oyefusi of ESPN.
What about Ashley? Ashley.
Follow
She'd be pretty
Daniel
tough.